I really truly believe that there is a job seeker misconception surrounding the role of a recruiter. In most countries, there is actually a difference between a headhunter, effectively an executive search consultant, who acts solely for the client to source their role, and a recruitment agent who sends out CV to try to fill job openings. In the UAE, however, the line between the two roles is often blurred, as we saw. So often a job seeker will think that a recruiter's job is to find them a role, yet recruiters in the UAE can only legally get paid their fees by the client for a successful hire. Recruiters act for the client and not the candidate in this case. So to be successful, recruiters need to build and leverage their professional network. This happens over time as they engage in conversation with candidates.
And in Dubai, the UAE, probably even the GCC in general, everything, tries to be, we want this now, sort of the ghosting. What are your thoughts to this?
Yes, the recruiter ghosting is actually, I'll start with this, it's real and it's not personal. And yes, it is on a lot of job seekers' mind at the moment, and I understand. And every point that you made just now are true. So there is a high turnover of people wanting to actually access a job in the UAE. There are certain industries that at the moment are doing better than others. But what I will answer to this is, I'll actually give an example because I think it'll be a lot easier if I talk numbers for just a couple of minutes. I recently placed a job advert on a social media platform that I won't name. It was very specific and I had two main criteria. One was the years of experience and the other was the language requirement. I received 70 applications, as opposed to the general sort of, 7-second rule, recruiters get a CV, have a look at a profile and move on. I actually took the time to read each application that I received. Out of the 70, I would say only 3 met the brief. Many applicants missed consciously or unconsciously, I don't know, the language criterion. It took me over 4 hours to go through each one. I spent 3.5 minutes on each application, reading the CV and responding to the applicants. Now, in this case, I can honestly say there were not a huge number of applications. However, multiply this by 10, when a role posted online can reach easily 7 or 1,000 applicants, then that would equate to about 40 hours per week answering applicants for a recruiter.
In my humble opinion, Natalie, it's the system. So even LinkedIn, with absolute all due respect, the system doesn't even allow you to be having an automated response easily. You have to click through the profile, click rate as, reject, etc., then send the automated email out. Now, like you, I've posted a couple of roles and received sometimes hundreds, like 900 applications. And to do that for every single candidate, it's the system that's failing us. And that's not only in the GCC region.
And it does take time, even just clicking on those 3, 4, or 5 buttons we need to click after you read the CV. So it takes time. If I job advert carefully, I know it's been said 1,000 times, but really it is important, and only apply if you meet the key criteria. And the why not give it a go attitude, well, kind of, when you're not relevant, it kind of only clogs up the recruitment process and really frustrates everybody. Make or break an offer. It is often, a really awkward part of conversations surrounding salary expectations. And you're bound to go through this in the recruitment process at one stage or another. So generally it's before an offer letter, obviously. And if you're not prepared to give a number right there and then when you're asked, then you kind of risk losing control of the narrative. So here's my advice. Prepare, and prepare. Just like you would sing to your favorite song, it needs to become a tune that you know off the top of your head and heart. So rehearse it with your spouse, with your family, with your friends. Do your math. Effectively know your worth and stick to it. That's another point. Now, from a candidate point of view, I would add that if you come too low, you might come across, like you said, as desperate or weak. If you're too high, you might look unreasonable. However, if your number game and, if you own your number game effectively and you play it just right, then, the conversation, as I said, will go really well, I think, in my view, because it makes you look professional effectively.
Absolutely. And I guess, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say though that the conversations may differ a little bit whether you are speaking with a recruiter or someone directly from the company. You might be able to sort of be a little bit maybe more open and have some advice as to where the client's budget sits if you're speaking with the recruiter versus where you're directly speaking with in-house talent teams.
Yes, true. I mean, with the recruiter, you can be a little bit more open with regard to the salary expectation, because the recruiter will convey your needs and will let you know as well in the meantime, as an advisor to you, well, you're too high, you're too low. No, that's above, below, client expectation, or you're bang in the middle. That's perfect. And when I say salary package, like you say, your basic needs are met, but also think about, I know it's going to sound odd as a term, but your play money. Add that on top. You need to enjoy life.
The new
So you need
UAE
to,
labour law,
it'll be
that is.
interesting to see how the new contracts that have come in, limited contracts that have come in for 3 years, are going to play effectively in 3 years' time. But at this stage, the question I think on everybody's mind is, you used to come over knowing that you had an unlimited contract and therefore you could stay as long as you want. Now, someone coming from abroad would think, why do I want to come for only 3 years, for example? And if it's not renewed, then you have to go, obviously, you have to go back or find another option. If you find another option, you're no longer on that perhaps expat package that you were at the beginning. So how is that going to impact? I can't tell. Only time will tell on that one.